We also have Lavanya, who is an author and a game designer. Lavanya is also a vapor. She's been vaping for a little while now.
So I am a science fiction and fantasy writer. I'm also a game designer and a part-time vapor. So of course, my vape story actually starts off as my smoking story, right? Where I picked up smoking at parties and just thought, oh, this is never going to catch on. And as it does, it ended up catching on. And I ended up being quite a chronic smoker, especially at the workplace. A lot of workplace discussions happen at the smoking zone. So, there I was at the smoking zone. Very similar experiences to, what Ashmita spoke about. I've been filmed smoking cigarettes by creeps in cars driving past my workplace, so there is a lot of, I think, gender bias when people look at a woman who's smoking. But I was introduced to vaping really, really early on, thanks to Jaggi, who's also on this call. And so he kind of explained how everything worked to me. And while it seemed a bit complicated, I thought, hey, you know what, I'm interested in doing this because something that very few people, I think, acknowledge is that most smokers actually know the ill effects of smoking. Like, we're all aware it's bad for our health and all of that, but we do it anyway because it's addictive, right? And I thought, hey, this is a way where I can counter this addiction in a way that is less harmful to me and to my long-term health. So I picked up vaping. I was one of the first at my office to show up with a vape. And everyone was fascinated, asking all these questions. And I would kind of go back and forth, right, between vaping and smoking. But there would be entire periods when I would just vape and not feel the need to pick up a cigarette. And this would go on for weeks or months. It was super useful when I was traveling, and I travel a lot. So, when you go to a different country or you're staying with family and friends, you're not an inconvenient house guest because there's no smell. You don't have to keep asking, hey, where can I stop this? And if you go for a beautiful walk in the countryside, you're not worried about polluting it, right? So it was really quite empowering that way.
Right.
And I would kind of switch back and forth between this. And then the ban happened, right? And I started getting paranoid about being dependent on a device where I wouldn't know where my next round of liquids or my next set of jewel pods would come from. And that sort of really freaked me out. And a pack of cigarettes is so much more easily available. And I've been on this attempt to sort of quit smoking for ages now. But I'm terribly allergic to nicotine patches, really, really badly allergic. I cannot do cold turkey. I've tried it several times and I have horrible withdrawal. Everything from awful headaches to terrible mood swings, and they just last days. And I think vaping was this great alternative that was offered to me and then kind of made very inaccessible. And that to me is really unfortunate because I am very cognizant when I smoke around people that I don't want to smoke at them or in their faces. And vaping kind of gives me that alternative, right? My house doesn't smell of smoke all the time. And those were so many positives, including long-term health, cosmetic changes, all of those things really made a huge difference. But now it's unfortunately very inaccessible, and that is very frustrating.
I would like to know more about the changes in the stress levels from when you were smoking to when you are vaping right now.
Yeah, sure. I think for my part, the stress level is definitely palpably lower, right? You almost feel like you're waking up relaxed instead of waking up sort of like jumped up and also desperate for your fix. And this is something that is pretty amazing because I have a stressful job. In fact, I have 2 stressful jobs. And for whatever reason, our association with the cigarette is, hey, this is helping me with my stress and my anxiety. But the reality is it's just increasing, right? But somewhere we've convinced ourselves that this is a great tool to mitigate our stress levels. But when I'm vaping, and so I've been using a Fitbit on and off. If I check my resting heart rate when I'm vaping, it is so much lower than when I'm smoking.